about as easy to read as a doctor's handwriting. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another episode of Cheap Thrills. This is the series in which I find fun cars for under £5,000. This time it is all about a hot hatchback which is often described as having that go-kart feeling. It is, of course, the Mini Cooper S. This particular example is an early R56 model, meaning it has the same 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine used in the Peugeot 207 GTI. So what we have here then is a bit of a mismatch. It is a German car with British heritage and a French heart. Is it any fun though? That's the main thing. Oh, it's peppy. So this 1.6 litre turbocharged engine code N18, offers 175 horsepower along with 240 newton meters of torque. However, there is an overboost function and that will give you 260 newton meters of torque. 0 to 62 is dealt with in a respectable 7.1 seconds and the top speed is 140, which is pretty good for such a small car. However, just in case this wasn't enough for you, at the time this car was sold, you could opt for the John Cooper Works kit. That was a little under £1,100 and that gave you a sports exhaust, an uprated air filter and a tweak to the ECU. That meant you got 192 horsepower. The R56, unlike its predecessor, the R53 is turbocharged. I'm sure many of you know that the R53 was actually supercharged. The reason why Mini moved away from the super to the turbo is really the turbo is just more efficient. More performance and of course better fuel economy. Win-win. There are some that say that the R56 isn't quite as characterful as the R53, but would I say this car is lacking character? No, I wouldn't. It's a fun little thing. Although I say little, compared to the R53, this is a little bit larger, albeit not by a great deal, but it is, which should make it a little bit easier to live with. This is also more refined compared to the R53 as well, so again, for a car to live with day to day, this is your better proposition. This engine code is the N14, which can be a little bit troublesome, but I will go into that a little bit later. For the time being, let's focus on the drive. We've got a 6-speed manual which feels pretty good to change, brakes feel good, brake pedal's got a nice meatiness to it, and as you would expect from a Mini, it's got pretty good handling as well. The ride is quite firm. The Mini Cooper S, as standard, did come with run-flat tyres, which is good if you get into a bit of a mishap, but they do make the ride firmer. As a driver, it isn't too much of an issue, but I was a passenger in this car earlier, and whilst I wouldn't say I was uncomfortable, I don't think I'd want to do a long distance in this. Although I know the Mini isn't really designed for long distance travelling, but you get what I mean. If you're doing a road trip or doing some motorway miles, this will not be the best companion for that. Right, I've got the sport button. Let's put sport on. Now, if you preferred, you could have these with a 6-speed automatic, but I think a car like this, in my humble opinion, has to have a manual gearbox. It just makes the driving experience so much more engaging. This car may not be out and out fast, but it's still got enough performance to put a smile on your face. It reminds me of one of those wind-up cars you had as a child. You wind it up, wind it up, wind it up, and then let it go. That's what this feels like. Or a little pop from the exhaust there. And because this car is so small and it's got a short wheelbase, you can really chuck it into the corners with gay abandon. This may not be as small as the original Mini, but it's far from a large car. And you can really feel its small frame in the corners. It's quite lively on its toes. It's good fun in the corners. And the brakes perform well, which is important. On the brakes, the pedals are set up really nicely for heel and toe changes. The steering's got a good weight to it as well. And although compared to a contemporary Mini Cooper S, this is probably a bit slow, you can still hustle this car down a B road with very little complaints or issues. Minis are properly fun cars, but they are not without their problems. So what are the things to look out for when you're looking at an R56? Well, if it's a car fitted with the N18 engine like this car, I'm afraid there's quite a lot. Timing chain tensioners can be a weak spot, and if they go, the timing chain goes, and yeah, that's not a good day for anyone. Well, unless you're a mechanic, of course. Head gaskets can be failures, coil packs can go, the seals on the solenoids can fail, which causes oil to be drawn up the wiring loom to the ECU, and well, it will kill the ECU. So that's not good. Gear changes can be sloppy. From my own experience working in a German car specialist repair garage, clutches can wear quite quickly. I've had quite a few Minis in where it's not come in for a clutch issue, but we've discovered the clutch is slipping. So that's something to look out for when you're test driving one. Another thing that you need to look out for, or a common issue with this model, is the water pump. In fact, this very car has had its water pump replaced because, well, it failed. In 2011 though, Mini addressed these common issues and brought in the N18 engine. That had stronger internals. The timing chain tensioners had been revised, they were stronger, and a lot of the common complaints, they had been nipped in the bud with the introduction of the N18. Strangely, however, you would have thought that that engine, the N18, would have come in along with the facelift, or as BMW and Mini call it, the LCI, Life Cycle Impulse, but no. The N18 actually came before the facelift arrived. So there is a chance you can get, well, there's definitely a chance you can pick up a pre-facelift with this engine. Well, not this engine, this has got the N14. My top tip to you then, if you're looking at buying an R56, I would urge you to get a facelift and not one that's been made before 2011. That's not my only top tip. Top tip, if you're thinking about getting an R56, be sure to keep regular checks on your oil level, otherwise you may pay the price. The slight downside with doing this is the dipstick is about as easy to read as a doctor's handwriting. It's rather incomprehensible. It's a coil design, and trying to get a proper view on the reading is that good? I hope so. Thankfully, there are aftermarket options out there, such as Craven Speed, to make this process a bit easier. What about actually buying one of these cars? Well, you can have them for as little as £1,500, but be prepared for a project or a car that is spares or repairs. The cheapest one that I could find, which was working on Auto Trader, was £2,000, but of course that won't be the best example. I would urge you to go for a facelift or a model fitted with the N18 engine, and for that you'll need to spend over £4,000. If you're quite happy to stick with a car with the N14 engine, then a budget of £5,000 will be plenty. So to sum up, should you risk buying an R56 Mini Cooper S? They are good fun. I would urge you to go for the N18 engine though. But if you must have the N14, maybe your budget can't quite stretch to the N18, then just make sure you've done your checks, make sure that there's no timing chain rattles, that it's been serviced on a regular basis, and that the car has been well looked after. And of course, just make sure you do the usual checks you do when buying any used car. It may be a risky buy, but if you find a good example, it'll be a fun buy. A massive thank you to Danny, the owner, for letting me have the car for a few hours. And of course, a massive thank you to you guys watching this video at home or wherever you are. If you have enjoyed the video or found it useful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.